Shout out to Steve Trang. Jump on the Steve Trang. We real estate disruptors.
Not phonetically easy.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for today's episode of Real Estate Disruptors. Today we've got Landon and Jesse Boeckle with the Boeckle brothers, and they flew in from Las Vegas to talk about how they're doing seven-figure flips multiple times off the MLS. Now, I am on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on this podcast alone is to help you to become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you will take consistent action, you will become one. And our sales leadership program is just around the corner. If you're not signed up, you'll be missing out on Ren sharing what it takes to build a company to do 100 plus transactions a month. DM me the word leadership if that sounds like something that'd be interesting to you. Now, the show is brought to you by our sister company, InvestorLift. Get access to 2 million cash buyers across the country. Go to investorlift.com, put in Disruptors to get 10% off. And if you get value today, please tag a friend below, share this episode right now. That way we can all grow together. You know, the old adage, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're all trying to grow here together. And don't forget, tomorrow we do have Pardon the Disruption. So this is a live show. Please ask your questions for Jesse and Landon to answer. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. Very cool. So first question is, what was your life before real estate?
I love that one. We get into the personal stuff.
Yeah.
That's good.
Right out of the gate here.
So before we officially started or decided to get into real estate investing, I was living in San Francisco and I was working logistics, basically like global shipping for a tech company.
Mm-hmm.
So not super glamorous.
Not
Definitely
exciting.
would consider it like your traditional 9 to 5. And I quickly realized that was not for me.
You weren't posting on Instagram about it?
No, nope. Nothing to boast about there.
Okay. Were you unfulfilled in that role?
Definitely. It was a great role. I learned at a young age what it was like to be young and have people underneath you that are especially older and how that dynamic works. So I learned a lot. I'm very grateful for it, but it definitely wasn't a position I was proud of, boasting of, or saw a future in.
Gotcha. How about you?
Yeah, so I went to Arizona State. So I was just a nice young college grad from a great university back in 2013 is when I graduated. Came home back to Vegas pretty quick from graduation and started serving tables at the foundation room at the Mandalay Bay. So when I got
Graduated.
graduated
With a degree.
ASU, I know, took me 5 years.
Degree in?
Business and communications.
Okay. And then you went and took that and became a server in
Went,
Vegas.
took it, became
Naturally.
a server.
Yeah.
So I was a server for about 6 months, making good money for a 21-year-old kid, 22-year-old kid out of college. But then I jumped into being a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway. So I went into the sales game, right? I went to the real estate game pretty quick. Family friend that I was hooked up with was a good team leader, led a top 10 team for the past 10 years at Berkshire Hathaway. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So started doing traditional buyers and sellers.
That sounds like a Brian DeVilla's story.
Yeah.
Very
Pretty
similar.
close. Pretty close.
Yeah. Okay. So how long do you stay on the realtor side?
So as a realtor, I stayed with Berkshire Hathaway for 2 years, did some deals, did well, got my game tight in terms of, time management, scheduling, got a little bit more mature with who I was as a person, and actually had an opportunity to link up with a commercial broker out in Vegas, Dan Adamson, who is a big mentor for me, even still. And he did retail, shopping center acquisitions, dispositions, and leasing. So I worked with him for 2 years and kind of learned a little bit about the leasing game and the commercial game. So that was cool.
So I've had other people that were on commercial before, and this question I just want to ask is because I think there's so many similarities between wholesaling and commercial. I think wholesaling is a lot more like commercial real estate than it is like residential real estate. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the way you market directly to the sellers and wholesaling, I think, super similar to how commercial brokers get their clients. It's much more similar in that sense. I was still young and pretty new to the game, so I wasn't in it very long. I was only in it for 2 years before Jesse and I actually had the chance to link up and start flipping in 2016. But from what I learned, I did a couple of big lease deals just from the little time I was there, where I'm still doing them today with some clients, which is cool.
Yeah. Because what I understand, right, is like you start off as like, here's a list, go cold call this list.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
And you're just going to dial until you get someone that's interested. And once you get someone that's interested and they raise their hand, you go in there and you lock up the agreement, whatever. You don't necessarily cooperate on the MLS, like the residential side. You then start cold calling for buyers and try to sell your own deal. So you got to do your disposition and acquisition in-house.
Right.
Not to say that you don't want to cooperate with other people, but like cooperating with other people is like your last resort. It's kind of like today, I'm going to try to dispo myself. And if I can't dispo myself, then I'm going to call Keegley.
Right. You're going to reach out to other
See if they can
Sure.
dispo it.
Sure.
Right. So that was kind of my experience over there. Is that
It is, yeah. And, I was calling pretty big retail tenants. I was talking to, the Burger Kings of the world. I was talking to some of these big franchises. So, yeah, it's definitely a little bit more of a held in-house competitive nature, not a lot of collaboration going on for sure, versus what we're doing today, which is obviously a lot more collaborative. So,
right? So then, when did you guys link up?
That was about halfway through 2016 is when he was still working over there. The office I was working at actually relocated back home to Las Vegas, so I came with it.
Big coincidence.
Big coincidence. And then our dads have always been in real estate. That's kind of our segue of how it was introduced to us in our lives. And they just floated the idea around, like, why don't you guys team up and do something like this together? And so that idea was a spark and got us joined up. Basically, we took down a small little office, like a small little room inside of our dad's office, and that was the war room. That was the headquarters where it all started.
Gotcha. So, what would happen if you guys never closed your first deal?
Ooh, that's interesting. I think we would have still gone on and gone to the second and persevered, because once we decided, hey, we're doing this, we are investing, we are flipping, I don't think there was any stopping us.
What was it that gave you guys such conviction?
I think our dads and the way that they brought us up, they're just very entrepreneurial. Their father walked out on them when they were 12 years old. They're identical twins. So they fended for themselves their entire lives. And I think they just put that on us, where it's like, look, we're not afraid to, jump in and jump all in, and that's what we've done with everything from the flip side to the brokerage side to now our content creation and education side of the business.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it all in.
So I completely missed something prior to this moment, right? So you guys are actually not brothers.
You let the secret out.
I think we did. But.
Yeah, we might have. So we're cousins,
Yeah.
technically. But if you're going to create a brand and spread it around the world, how does Boeckle Cousins sound? Sounds a little weird.
Does sound a
Boeckle
little
Brothers
different.
sounds a lot better. Get
Yeah.
the alliteration going. So that's why we went with it.
And it's just natural. I mean, we've been, like we said, our dads are identical twins.
Yeah.
So they're like as deep of brothers as you could possibly be.
Yeah.
And, we treat each other the same way. So it's just like, yeah, we're brothers.
Yeah, that's cool.
go.
I just didn't realize until just now.
Yeah.
So after closing your first deal, how did you guys continue? Well, actually, before that, tell me about your first deal.
Okay, so the first deal was pretty easy. And not to fast forward to the closing, but we had already bought 2 more deals before we closed that first deal. So we were, like I said, we were making this happen regardless. That first one didn't close or not, we were already on our way to investing in a big way. So the first deal was pretty simple. We got a referral of a contractor who some mentors of ours had used in the past. And we called him, said we wanted to use him. He said, great, I actually have some people working for me that could help you guys find a deal as well. So he helped us find the first deal. And he was a contractor on the first deal. So it got handheld.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
And so that first one was an easy, like maybe 2004, 2005 build. Great area, South Summerlin, if you know the area of Las Vegas. Pure cosmetic.
Yeah.
Couldn't have
Very
been easier.
cosmetic, easy cookie cutter rehab.
Yep.
And what did you guys make on that first one?
I think we cleared somewhere like 25, 35. A good base hit.
Great proof of concept.
Yeah.
All right. So then after closing your first deal, how did you guys continue the momentum?
So, we went into this with no experience. So we didn't know how to find deals. I knew how to use the MLS. That's all I knew. So, knowing that the MLS we could buy deals off of, I taught Jesse how to use it. So the first deal was kind of handed to us, like he said. The next couple deals we found ourselves.
Right.
So now we started getting to the mindset of like, okay, we know the numbers based off that first one. Let's just go find, properties that replicate those exact numbers. And that's what we did. So we started searching the MLS and offering ourselves on the MLS. And right away, we found a couple more.
Yeah.
Use the same contractor. So, we had a good contractor in place, which I think is a tough starting spot for a lot of people, is to find that right GC for flipping homes.
Right.
You could get robbed very easily from someone who does big high-end retail jobs because they don't make enough on the flip properties. So we just had the right people in place and taught Jesse how to use the MLS, and we're offering from there on out.
Because then it was a two-man show, probably for too long. Yeah. But offering on homes, negotiating purchases, actually closing them, managing construction, design, selling.
Paperwork,
just us two.
Escrow, everything.
Yeah.
For probably like 150 homes.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you were sourcing off the MLS, which for a long time I heard a lot of people say you couldn't do. So like there was this time where it was easy to buy off the MLS, and there was this time where it became more challenging.
Yeah.
But even this time where everyone else is still saying it was challenging, you guys are still buying off the MLS.
And I love when they say that.
Big time.
Yeah. So how is that possible?
I love when people say that, because what that means is, okay, great, less competition.
All right.
If you have that stigma and you believe it,
Right.
then you're probably not going to go play in my playground. So awesome, more room for me.
Yeah.
I love when they say that.
So you just like zip it. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah, MLS sucks. Don't buy deals there.
But you guys are obviously doing something different. So what were you guys doing differently?
So I think one of the things that's made us successful in general, whether the market's really easy to get deals on the MLS or when it becomes difficult, which we've had success, like you said, throughout different market conditions, is just how dedicated we are to it and how persistent we are to it. That means playing the numbers game, which no one wants to do.
Right.
Everyone says they are, but their numbers are this big when they really need to be 10 times that. We also do something I think that's really unique when we talk to other people who do MLS acquisitions, is we don't disqualify any listing from being a potential purchase. And I think a lot of people subconsciously do that without even knowing. As they click through, as they search the map, they just come across something, and internally, inside their subconscious, they say, oh, I can never buy that. And it moves them along.
They won't take my price on it.
Right.
Like, they're not going to take $150K under list price for this house. It looks fine.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Everyone gets an offer.
Everyone gets an offer.
All
Everyone
right.
should have an offer from us.
Well, that makes it simple enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what were some doubts you guys faced along the way? I know you said like mindset, like you guys were going to do it no matter what. What were some doubts you guys faced along the way?
I'd say one that was early on, being kind of, I would say, ushered in with some guidance, some mentors, being our fathers and the people that they knew in this business, was that, are we going to be able to graduate from under their wing? And
we got a lot of scrutiny for being under their wing too.
You do.
So can we get out of that scrutiny?
What kind of scrutiny?
Just
it's handed to you.
Most success stories you want to hear is from people that came from very difficult scenarios, right?
Rags to riches.
Rags to riches is the best success story because it's the most relatable. And I can appreciate those type of success stories for sure. That's what our dads were rags to riches. But for us, we weren't. So we've gotten scrutiny our entire lives that spoiled rich kids, this and,
Silver
they
spoon
get everything.
handed to them.
Silver spoon handed to them and all that, which that's the battle we've had to face. Which is a different type of battle. But it's what it's been. So can we get out from under that silver spoon scrutiny, and can we feel individually, no matter what other people think, that, hey, we could do this on our own and we could succeed on our own?
Yeah.
Can we stand on our own 2 feet? And I think we proved that we can.
Yeah. When did your business begin to blossom?
2019.
Yeah. So, which is about, like, we started in 2016. That was towards the end of the year. So we really started in 2017. And that was 2 years of us doing every single thing, A to Z. And once we realized, okay, we have to hire somebody if we want to grow.
Yeah.
And we did it. The moment we did that is when it started really growing and really blossoming.
Yeah.
Being able to do more properties, hold more properties, take on more risk, you name it. As soon as we started delegating roles, we started to grow.
Who was it that beat it into your heads?
That we needed to do that?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it just came from us. I think
Yeah.
it just came from pure frustration.
Yeah.
Ryan Pineda gave us a lot of, grief for it as well. So I give
Yeah,
a lot
he's
of
always
credit
helped
to
us.
him in
Yeah.
2019. And that's kind of where I say things changed was, Jesse and I, as he was explaining, we did everything ourselves. So that means we were in our cave of an office for 3 years before that, thinking like, how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? Like, how are we going to grow if we're managing construction all day, every day, and trying to buy properties? And that hindered the growth of our business.
Yeah.
And then when we started, seeing Ryan's success and talking to him more about what he was doing, it was more collaboration, more networking, more delegating and hiring and bringing people on. And the second we started taking that, advice into play and hiring our project managers, I mean, we 3, 4, 5 extra our business in 2 years.
Even acquisitions, getting a team, somebody else to do that, so we didn't have to spend so much time physically on the MLS.
Right. So, I guess, what were some of the struggles? Like, it's starting to go good. So we're talking about, delegation, being overwhelmed. What are some other early struggles you had in growing your business?
So I think one thing, it didn't come to light until more recently. And I don't want to say this in a negative sense, because it was fantastic the way we were able to get started, the gift we were given, the opportunity we were given from our dads to be able to do this and then take the ball and run with it. But they're sharks. Don't get me wrong. So when we started out, they took a good portion of what we made.
Yeah.
Fair. They got us started. They gave us this runway.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that not realizing how we could grow if we diversified our funding sources, if we were able to take more home, reinvest it into the business. We didn't do that for a very long time, and I think that hindered our growth for longer than it needed to.
Yeah. So reinvesting into your own business. So we talked about, $25K in your first one. It was going. What are some other like big victories you guys had in your career?
Oh, I love talking about these. These are good.
Yeah. We did a lot of, so basically 2016 to 2019, our average profit per deal was anywhere between like $16,000 and $20,000. So we were working very hard to make very little in our sense, because we were giving a portion of that up as well. So I think the big victory was when we started flipping and jumping into luxury, and we threw in a couple luxury homes in 2019 and took a little bit of a higher risk with confidence and started hitting those 6-figure plus profits pretty quickly. I'd say one of our biggest victories.
The wholesale. Just tell them.
There's 2 of them. Yeah. Well, there's 2 of them.
It's great.
So we wholesaled a deal off the MLS. That's something that we do a lot, is wholesale off the MLS. And we did a wholesale deal where we locked it up for $1.59 million and wholesaled it for 2.1. So we made like a $345,000 wholesale fee off the MLS in 10 days, which was awesome.
Right.
So that's a huge win. I think our second biggest win was our $600,000 profit on a luxury flip earlier this year, which was great.
So $345K assignment fee, but you can't do deals off the MLS, right?
There you go.
So talk to me about this specific listing. What were some things that you saw on that listing, or how did you know it was going to be a deal?
Sure. So
Yeah, I love the deal. It's an awesome deal.
and we vetted it out just like we would any other flip. We actually had every intention of buying it as a flip. So it was a good deal. It's in an A-class neighborhood in Las Vegas, guard-gated. I don't think it has a golf course. Guard-gated community in Summerlin, totally right where you want to be. Newer houses too, not too dated, so still desirable. Just on the inside, needed total cosmetic uplift, but sat in also a great place in the neighborhood too. So all of the non-numerical characteristics of this house screamed yes.
Yeah, so you had all the right intangibles.
Yeah.
Right. And then we were able to negotiate a little off the list price. It wasn't like a terrible discount.
I think we thought this house was going to be worth 2.5 to
Yes.
like 2.7. And
Yes.
we bought it, I think it was listed at probably 1.9, and we bought it for 1.6, let's just say.
Yeah, something
To make the
close to
numbers
that.
easy.
And given those numbers, we would have had a decent flip. Couple $100,000 in rehab, probably take home $200,000 as well. But while like the day after we locked this up and we are in escrow now, another sale closed at 2.9 or 3 million. That was almost directly comparable.
Yeah.
And so that immediately gave us 500,000 on our ARV increased. So all of a sudden it went from a good deal to a how the hell did we get our hands on this type of a deal?
So it was kind of a decision that we had to make, which we make with all of our wholesale deals is, do we take it and make 800,000 on this flip, or do we sell it to this buyer and make a quick 345,000? We were trying to make a little bit more. I think we were trying to make like 400 and we negotiated it down. So it was like a 50% deal. Like we could flip it and make 800, or we could sell it and make 50% of that, but we do it in 10 days, get rid of it, and spend the money on a new home.
Yeah.
So we decided to wholesale it to one of our solid buyers on our buyers list that buys luxury properties, and they flip luxury properties, and they paid us happily a $347,000 wholesale fee.
Yeah. So was this on the market for like a number of days? Was it hot or was it like stale?
I don't think it was super stale, but I don't think it was also like brand new day of listing that we got it.
No.
Yeah.
It was around for a couple days. Luxury does sit around for a couple days too. It's one of the reasons why we really love it.
Right.
Is not even, yes, a couple months regardless, but usually when you go after, let's say in this area, Vegas area, comparable, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 house, every investor wants to get their hands on that house, especially when it's close to priced right and it's outdated. Everyone sees it. Everyone wants it. But a house like that, even an investor, a lot of them don't have the funding sources for 1.6, 1.7 million. They don't have the experience, the wherewithal, the knowledge to rehab with a budget of $200,000-$300,000. So we don't have a lot of competition in that as well. So even though it sat, we were probably one of the first people that talked to them
Even
about
looked at it.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a big stigma is about the MLS is people think, well, every deal has to be negotiated so deep. And the other deal we talk about, the actual flip that we did flip and make 600,000 on, that home was listed at 1.4 million.
Oh, we'll get to that one in a sec.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got this one. It was a good deal. Turned into a great deal.
Yeah.
Reached out to one of your buyers.
Yep.
And they saw it and they're like, yeah, I'm in. They didn't care about what you made.
No, because they could truly see the actual value there. And there wasn't any shadiness about how we transferred that over. We know, like, and trust them. They know, like, and trust us for years and years and years.
Do you know how much you ended up making on that one?
I think, actually, they moved into it.
I think they actually lived in it and didn't sell it off.
They made it so cool.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them.
The finished product's insane. But
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably worth still 3 because it probably went up from that 3 million ARV to
it was a little while
4,
ago.
and then now it's probably come back down to like 3.2 or something. So still a great deal.
What was that conversation like with the realtor, right? Going from 1.9 to 1.6. Was that a difficult conversation? Was that a normal conversation?
Very normal, as most of them are. It's, like I said, every home should get an offer from us. And it's a big difference. Yes, it's a couple $100,000. But when you're in a higher price point, that couple $100,000 is real common. A swing in either direction of that much money isn't totally foreign to the sellers, to the listing agents. So it wasn't something out of the ordinary. But our acquisition team, our main guy locked that up.
I think it was a conversation back and forth for a month or two, though. I want to say that they came back to the party 1 or 2 times before they actually accepted that deal.
Yeah.
Just thinking back and trying to remember it, it wasn't just an initial acceptance.
Yeah. So then you guys bought another one.
Yep.
You guys did even better on.
Yep.
Talk to me about that deal.
So that deal we actually flipped. And like I was saying a few minutes ago, the stigma of the MLS is you have to always offer so far below list to even get these deals accepted when, that's simply not true. You have to be able to identify opportunities. And this is a property in a country club, Anthem Country Club in Henderson, near Vegas. Beautiful property. And it was listed at 1.4 million. And we had a comp that was listed that just sold completely original, unrenovated, 2-3 doors down at 185. So we figured we could get probably 2.1, 2.2 for it. So we paid 1.425 for it. We paid $25,000 over list for it. We ended up putting about $400,000 into the rehab on it.
Got away from us a little bit.
Yeah,
It's our first really big one.
we were going to put like LVT floors in it, And then once we opened, like, it was so closed off, like so many walls. And we got in there with our GC, and he's like, guys, you won't believe this. We could take every wall in here out. There's no load-bearing walls in this entire room. So this small, like,
They had a funky floor plan.
maze floor plan
They did.
literally opened up to like 3,000 square feet of wide open space.
Yeah.
So we put a 22-foot slider in. Like, when we saw that, we're like, okay, tile the floors, do this place up. We're gonna spend an extra $100,000 on this place, and ended up selling it for $255 within 1 day on market.
So you guys bought it for 25 over.
Yep.
Multiple offer situation, I imagine.
Yep.
In those scenarios, what were you having to do then to win those offers, those negotiations?
It was most of our offers, or all of our offers, are no inspection contingencies. We do our own inspection. So there's the slight difference between that is we don't place an inspection contingency, meaning we're not going to ask for any repairs. We're not going to ask the sellers to do anything. We just need to go in there with our general contractors, which we can do in 1 day,
Yeah.
and get a bid, talk about what the design, what we're going to do to the house. But the offer's super clean. It was probably a 10-day, 14-day close, I would say max, with a 5 to 7 day due diligence period, and 1 property visit, maybe 2.
Yep.
So very simple, very clean, big
Easy
EMD.
deal.
Yeah, we know we want it too. We'll throw a little more EMD their way.
What's the most earnest money you ever put in?
Probably 50, 75, somewhere around
Hard,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. So then on the other side, and selling it, multiple offers as well.
I think it was 1 day, so guy was super strong. Did we bid 2 people up?
I think we had one offer at 2.5. One buyer came in at 2.5. They kind of messed around a little bit, didn't deposit EMD, fell apart, and then someone else came in right behind them at 2.55. So there was two buyers that we talked to. Second buyer who paid 2.55 didn't know that the first one was falling apart yet and really wanted it. So
was this the biggest deal you've ever done?
At the time, it was.
Okay, and now?
It's not even close.
So what's the biggest deal you guys have done?
We're currently in it.
All right.
We're 3/4, 3/5 of the way through it right now. It's in Anthem Country Club. Oddly enough, it's kind of right down the street from this house. It's in a double gate. It's a little more exclusive. Killer view.
Double gate.
I know.
What's the story of a
a
double
gate inside of a gate.
It's a
I mean,
facade.
like really elitist here.
I know.
There's probably like 15 houses in this little like second gated cul-de-sac.
So it's 7,000 square feet, 2-story. We bought it for all in, I think, 2.8. So it was
a short sale.
It was a short sale, but the purchase price was hundreds of thousands over our previous largest sale price. So we're into a bigger class category here.
Yeah.
So 2.8 purchase. I think the original plan with all in renovations was 7-ish. It's close to $1 million now.
Yeah.
Again,
A little over.
this is our first true design build.
Yeah.
So there are things that you just can't figure out in a 14-day due diligence period. You have to just put a number and say, we'll try to hit that number.
Yeah.
And we did that with a good number of things. No other way to get around it. So we're approaching $1 million for all of our rehab expenses. And when we finish it and go to list it, we're going to shoot for 5.5.
Yeah.
So it should be the first house, if we get it, that we clear $1 million net profit on.
Got it. Any nervousness right now with everything that's going on?
I mean, of course.
I got to be honest, yes, of course. But on this bracket, we've actually seen this bracket, that price point, 5 million plus, hold up a little bit better in Vegas than even the 1 million to 2.5 million range.
Totally different buyer.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I'm actually the least nervous about this house, even outside of like some of the other like 1.5ers we have going on right now, where it's like, man, these buyers are still trying to beat us up. But this buyer is probably going to be California, second home. They walk in, they have a ton of money, and they say, I love it, I'll buy it, whatever it takes.
What's interesting about that price point too is if I were to say, like, what's the best time of year for real estate? Most agents or investors would give me the spring, summer. Everyone's in a frenzy and wanting to move. Actually, at this price point, there are more trades, more transactions in the last quarter of every year for tax purposes. So being that we're almost done with it.
And we know people want to put money somewhere right now.
Yeah. About to list it, hopefully end of November, early December. I know it's a small time frame before officially calendar year ends, but we may be able to pick up somebody who's trying to make that move.
That's awesome.
And I guess a little bit of, up-to-date data. I don't even think Jesse's caught up on this yet because it happened just yesterday and he was out of town.
A sale.
Property 2 doors down, 10,000 square foot or a little bit larger, just listed at 9.95.
Perfect for us.
So that would put us, price per square foot wise, puts it at 6.5. So to expect 5.5,
great.
pretty good deal there.
Yeah, awesome.
We'll see.
I didn't ask you this question earlier. How did you guys feel when you finally realized that real estate would be your career?
I felt kind of a relief, I'll say, because finishing college, everyone's in that mind frame, the age where your parents are saying, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing? Every weekend, if you're not searching for a job or you're not active, it's figure it out. And so I bounced around, did a few jobs, landed in tech, and wasn't really happy. Knew that I was okay there, but not fulfilled there, not where I wanted to be, something I was excited about. And so as soon as I realized getting up, going to work every day is fun, doing this gives me a life that I can appreciate and I can enjoy and not really like be a slave to work.
Yeah. That
was just a revelation. I was like, this is for me. This is for me.
Yeah, I think it's also cool to know, the skills we've learned and gained over the last 6 years now, 6.5 years, coming down to the monetary side of it, I know that whatever I do, I know I could make at least a couple $100,000 a year on the low end, trading real estate, helping buyers and sellers, whatever it is. My knowledge base would make me comfortable on a yearly basis forever. Yeah. And I think that's so cool. Like, maybe I'm not making millions during the hard times, but I know I'm going to still do well, be able to support my family and, succeed year over year forever. And I think real estate's one of the only businesses you can do that in.
Yeah.
And to be able to educate people on that's pretty cool too.
You'll always be valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the peace of mind. Definitely. So we're talking about buying off the MLS.
Yeah.
Right? So someone here I saw asked a question here, Alex Perkins. So in talking to realtors, what is that conversation like? Because you guys are making offers on everything. There's no filter.
Yes.
So what is that conversation like when there's no indication, right? Like it doesn't say handyman special. It doesn't say.
Sure. Might not. Yeah, absolutely not.
It doesn't say motivate home.
Those are the ones we don't go after as much.
Yeah.
The ones with the caved in roofs and the broken windows and the TLCs and handyman
Your probability is
specials,
just lower.
Everyone sees those.
Yeah.
So our process is pretty special.
So so just a regular property, just in a good neighborhood, good schools, everything else.
Yeah.
Right. Potentially more desirable property. What is that conversation like?
So it's always the same. It's very uniform, which you need to implement if you're going to do this on a bigger scale, so that you're not giving one property, one offer, preferential treatment over better chance than the other. But always professional. Lead with professionalism. Even if it's not something you think that they're going to want to hear because it's maybe lower than what they're looking for, that's okay. This is what we do. This is who we are. This is our offer. This is what works for us. Here is a formal offer, not texting the agent, will you guys take $350? Like, we don't do that. Formal offer, fully written, fully executed, with proof of funds, and an email explanation. Now, generally, this is a numbers game. We know we're going to get 97 no's, 2 maybes, and 1 yes. For all of those no's, those are not swept off the table. Those are not gone. We get a lot of our deals from those no's. And it's because we started with professionalism, so that when we revisit them, if they sit on the market another few weeks, our acquisitions team's calling, hey, what's going on with that? Anything changed? We're still here. Few more weeks. Hey, I saw you went in and out of contract. What happened there? We're still here. Again, professional, very diligent, following up, and it's those weeks and months after initial rejection where we don't take it to heart. We don't walk away. We just keep it in our periphery to revisit it. And I think that's where we end up getting most of our deals done and most of our success comes from.
Yeah. So it doesn't really sound like it's a script per se, as it is just a process.
It's just a process, and the script comes down to just explaining who we are and that, hey, we're investors. These are the numbers that work for us. And that's the bottom line is we're a business for profit. And here's the numbers that work for us. If they don't work for your clients today, completely understand, but the offer is still on the table.
Yeah. One thing we don't do is hide the game we're playing.
Right.
Listing agents really appreciate that. And that's one thing that our acquisition manager is really good at is creating those relationships, just being open and honest about what we're doing. They appreciate that. Even if they're not willing or can't get their sellers on board, at least I'm dealing with somebody who's real with me. Next time when I do have one, maybe I'll deal with you because you were good with me. You were real with me.
Yeah. And then are you guys maintaining relationships with these people with these realtors? Because what we found in the past is that maybe this property doesn't work, but in 2 weeks, they're like, hey, I got this other property.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. That's a line in our email that we send out is, hey, if this property doesn't work, completely understand. Keep us in mind for all future properties. But as many deals as we've done now, our agent base is huge and our relationship base is huge. We are getting a ton of deals on an annual basis from friendly agents that know we perform. And I think that's another big aspect to it is you got to perform. You can't go in, negotiate. These people are fighting to get you that deal accepted from their sellers. And then you come back and ask for 10K off, or then you come back
dreaded renegotiation.
Right. Ask for an extension. So the process that we have also, once we get a deal accepted with running our numbers and getting contractors in there, it's all a very formal process. And I think as we do deals with people, they only want to work with us again.
So what is that process? So we're under contract. I accept your offer. I email it back to you. All right, Landon, we're in contract.
Great. Okay. So you being our acquisition manager, you just got this back. Immediately goes off to the next team member, who is our admin, general assistant, office controller. She gets that, escrow gets that, title gets that, and we know immediately that, okay, time to bid the property. So project manager's notified. We have this property under contract. She already sets up EMD, so that happens without fail, perfectly on time. He gets notified to call a contractor and meet out there within 24 hours. So we've only been in contract for 24 hours, and now we're at the property actually bidding it. Contractors' expectations are shared that we need this bid back pretty quickly. So another 24 to 48 hours, we have full bid in hand, full renovation, design, concept, everything we need to then plug in all of our numbers, rehab, figure out the purchase price works, run it through our calculator. This is only 3 days into a contract accepted. We always ask for at least 5 to 7 days.
Yeah.
We have a few days to sit on this thing and kind of figure it out, maybe we use this lender over that one. There's no pressure of 12th hour, due diligence is up today, 5 p.m., do we buy this or not?
And we're not canceling a 12th hour. If we're going to call them and renegotiate for any reason, and typically we only have to if it's something that wasn't disclosed or they didn't tell us about, like the AC units were stolen or don't work or pool needs a plaster or something like that, where it's like, hey, we have everything besides the pool plaster in there. That's going to be 10 grand. We're going to need 10 grand off. But we're doing that on day 3 of our due diligence, not 11:59 p.m. on day 7 of due diligence.
Yeah.
So it's just doing it correctly is so important.
And so now we're making a decision. We have a few days to do that. We can make a comfortable, smart decision. And once we do, now we have a leg up on this project as well because we already have the contractor. We already have the bid. They already know what's to be done, all the materials that are going to be used. And so immediately when we close on this thing, dumpsters drop, demo starts, we're off to the races.
Yeah. So the escrow period is just part of just the prep period.
Pretty much.
That's it.
Yeah.
I like that you said that the TC is always taking care of the earnest money deposit no matter what. And I think that's one of the big things that a lot of investors miss. Right? Like you're just setting a bad taste. Like when the realtor has to chase you for earnest money,
I know.
You're already off to a bad start.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you talk about that's how you coordinate on the actual listings. What are you guys doing right now to build a realtor community that enjoys working with you, that reaches out to you?
So what we've found really good success in, 2 things, would be in-person like events. So we've teamed up with some realtors that are, I guess, friends of ours, peers of ours, big in the industry, that are also big on growing their own social media presence as well. So hold events, invite bunch of realtors to that event, cater something. We'll sit there and talk in front of 100, 200 people and tell them about who we are, our business, and the importance of working with investors on top of being an agent.
Yeah.
Because every agent should think about how to work with investors.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a real estate agent and you don't have investors like us on your side to some extent, you're losing a huge amount of income potential. Yeah. So hosting events is huge. Social media, obviously, we're pretty big on. We're always advertising our ability to work with agents on social media. And then we also have our brokerage in Vegas, the Boeckle Group Real Estate, where we have 40 to 45 agents at any given time where we're educating them and letting them know, hey, we're clients of yours too.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be totally off track.
Okay.
But I'm sure Ryan's in your ear. How come you guys aren't real yet?
Oh.
He's asked us that, definitely.
I know,
all right.
He's told us so many times. I don't think we have an answer other than, you know, focusing on one thing at a time, and that's the investment side and the education side. Right now in the brokerage, you know, we have a team in place kind of running itself, and the fee structures and everything. I don't know why we haven't done it.
All right, so after
we're just on our own game.
After the show, we're definitely gonna do a hard close.
All right. Oh, there we go. I knew it was coming.
Let's do it.
So as far as one other note I saw here, accountability-driven bootcamp formula. What is that?
Yes. Okay. So that's the latest endeavor of ours, and basically, in a nutshell, what it is we've packaged and compartmentalized all of the flipping knowledge, the how to grow a flip team, how to flip successfully, how to do all this from a small scale to a large scale into a 90-day, what we're calling a boot camp, essentially workshop, where people come in, we have weekly accountability calls, we're covering our chosen curriculum to teach them important points of the business, things to do, things to avoid, and we walk them through how to submit offers, find lenders, work with lenders, design houses, sell houses, everything you need to do in a flip business in 90 days.
And it's MLS based. You know, that's our specialty.
Yeah.
You know, we're buying 50, 75 properties a year off the MLS. That's what we're going to teach you how to do.
Yeah.
Today on our call, you know, which you're, you know, hospitable to us, letting us use your room, we linked everyone on our call up with 2 hard money lenders within the program. So they're leaving that call with a potential of another couple $1 million plus in funds, which I think is so cool.
That's one thing being a part of mentorship groups and accountability groups and coaching, what we've found and experienced the best success with is when people are really transparent with you, they're very giving versus come on a call and let's just talk. We want people to leave our boot camp, leave the 90 days and graduate with a way and a source to hire people, the right people, and a process to do it, funding for their flips with people that we've worked with, so they know they're real. They actually get connected, and they get potentially millions of dollars in funding to go out and do deals. Processes to find those deals, ways and to stay organized and to keep track of everything. They leave with assets.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted people to leave with. I felt like I was fast-tracked. I learned so much in 90 days, and I left with a lot in 90 days.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we're going to jump to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to go to the audience's questions. So don't leave. We're going to be going to your questions right now.
Love it.
Hey, Steve Trang here. A lot of you have been asking me for sales management training. I didn't feel like teaching it, but I found the perfect guy to teach it for us. So, Ren, tell us about it.
Steve, we're going to be introducing some really intense fundamentals and philosophy behind the management of sales teams. Have a ton of experience building really high performance sales teams and really taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that, management practices and theories from all over the place, and brought them together to create a unique whole person perspective that drives low performers to high performers and elite caliber salespeople into sales champions. And couldn't be more excited to partner with you on it and the Sales Disruptors brand.
For sure. So go to disruptors.com/success, and we'll see you at the next event. All right, so going into the audience's questions, I see Kiali, this is from Hawaii. So hopefully talk about first deal, how'd they find it, how'd you lock it up, what'd you say to get on the contract? So if I recall correctly, this is predominantly like the contractor passed it along. You guys still had to go talk to the homeowner.
This is our very first deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he identified it using the MLS, showed it to us, said, hey, what do you guys think? Like, this could be your first one. And then worked with us to figure out where do we offer? Let's send this here. It's listed here. Let's send an offer here. So it wasn't like he went out and did it for us and then say, okay, guys, just show up here. Like, here's a deal. We were very involved in all of it.
Yeah. And then Jake Verga on Instagram is asking your thoughts and stuff too. Now, your guys' model is taking the properties down,
Right.
to flip it. So, do you guys do any subjective to or creative?
We really haven't in the past.
No, it's something we need to start looking at more. I have a bunch of companies reaching out to our brokerage to list novation deals and do those type of things. We just haven't had to do a lot of that type of business in recent years. I even remember us talking about joining your your school a couple of years ago, and you're like, wait, you guys do so much business off the MLS. Why would you want to go over here? And it's like
start
we haven't
spending.
had to do that,
Right.
because of the MLS. So. No, but we need to learn more about it because I think it is the way of the future. I think that there's a lot of sub-2 and creative finance to be done right now, and there's a lot of money to be made in it. So
There is, but is that part of flipping though?
Honestly, I don't know, because now, when I first started, maybe 2016, 2017, even 2018, you asked, are you guys going to get into that? Absolutely. We're going to need to. I felt the overwhelming need to get into another acquisition source. But as we've gone through, and I know we haven't been in this decades, so we haven't seen full market cycles, but it's been easy for us to get deals off the MLS. It's also been very, very hard for us in the past recent years when inventory was just so low and everyone was overpaying. That seems to me like one of the hardest times to find deals on the MLS. Knowing we've navigated that and been successful through all of that makes me feel stronger and more confident with the MLS as our primary acquisition source. Now, will we do something in the future? Definitely.
Yeah.
But I don't mind leaning on it so heavily now that we've navigated tougher waters.
and there's a ton of opportunities on it now.
There's a ton of opportunities
Yeah.
on it, but I think, looking at your guys' business model, the only benefit here, from what I can see, is you can just reduce your hard money costs, right, for 6 months,
True.
right? I mean, how long are you guys taking to go in and out on a flip right now?
Luxury takes a little longer.
Right.
So,
7 to 8 months probably
Yeah.
on luxury.
yeah.
So 7 to 8 months of hard money payments. Like, it
Totally.
really seems like that's the
Right.
biggest win there. But even then, like,
It also opens us up to a new way to also take down more properties for us to keep and own.
right. Well, that's the biggest thing. I was just thinking as far as the flip side.
Sure.
And then on Instagram, Russian Nico, great name. When do you think prices in Vegas are going to plummet?
Plummet. Wow. We're confident in that, aren't we?
I mean, prices in Vegas have already come down, 15, 20%, which I would consider a plummet, so that's
Has it
already
gone down that much in Vegas?
It's gone down quite a bit. What are you guys at here?
I think we're like 10%
10%?
on the high side.
I think it was
Well,
like,
let me
don't
take
think
a
we're
step,
too far
Let
from
me
that.
take a step back. Phoenix Metro, it's like 6-7%.
yeah.
Outside in the outskirts, it's like 15-20%. But
Okay.
I already knew that was going to happen, like,
Yeah.
because I've seen this movie before. So we just didn't play that far out,
Sure.
right? We only focused inside the freeways.
Which is smart. And I feel like Vegas we have a lot going on in Vegas, right? We just got sports teams. We got F1. We got a Super Bowl in a year and a half. We got so
That's going to be
much.
crazy for Vegas.
Yeah, we got so much. I mean, we were just talking about it before the show started. We're on 19 straight billion-dollar profit months for the Strip, which has never happened before. So I don't know if prices are going to plummet much further. We've seen inventory pretty much taper off. It skyrocketed
Sure.
for the first four months since May, and then now it's kind of been on a taper. And I just saw someone post today. I haven't seen the stats, but they asked, why did inventory just fall again? So I want to go look at the stats today at some point because apparently it came down a little bit. So I don't see prices plummeting much more than they already have adjusted in Vegas, just because of the infrastructure we have being built out there, and inventory is still low.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I mean, really, you look at it like, if you don't have to sell, why in the world would you sell now?
Right.
No incentive to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we just refied. I'm at a 3.2. You're at like a 2.8, and for me to go buy anything, no one is going to sell their home with a 3.5% or less mortgage rate to
Right.
go assume a 7.5 plus mortgage rate. Like, no way.
Yeah, I was at an event over the weekend. Bruce Norris held this event in Yorba Linda, right, just outside LA. And the stat he showed was 81% of the country, 51% of the country has an interest rate of 3.9% or less.
I've seen that.
Right. So if your interest rate is 3.9% or less, you're for sure not selling.
Probably coupled with a good amount of equity.
Right.
Right.
Unless you absolutely have to, you're not going to.
Right. I shared this story. I don't think I said it on this podcast. Like I did a loan mod, right? So 2009 was not a kind time to be a realtor. So I did a loan mod in my house, and I got it down to a 2% interest rate, right, with a HAMP. At 2%, I was just looking at it. I'm gonna stay in this house forever.
Yeah, why are you ever gonna get rid of that house?
Right. It wasn't until I had my third child, like this house I bought as a bachelor, got married, had my first kid, had my second kid. Once I had the third kid in this little 3-bedroom house,
Had
like,
to
okay,
go.
all right, I guess I need to buy
You have a
something.
need.
I have a need.
Sure.
Right. It was
You
no
still
longer
own it though?
We sold it
Okay.
in a scenario. It was it made sense for the reason why we sold it, but otherwise I would definitely have kept it.
Yeah.
Like my house now, never gonna sell it. Like why would I ever sell that house? I
Yeah.
mean, 3.2 rate.
Oh.
You know, I mean,
The cash flow on it.
free. Free money.
Well, it's not free. With inflation the way it is, you're getting paid to keep it.
Right.
And then the other comment was Reno's already feeling it from the prices. So George Harris was asking, what market are you guys in?
So primarily Las Vegas. Recently, we've come out to
Yeah, he's
your
expanded down here. Like get
your
out of here.
backyard.
Get
Yeah.
out of,
Yeah.
We
get out of
ventured into
Scottsdale.
Steve's backyard here, so we've done a
We're
couple
here to
flips.
compete.
And then are you guys putting in really, really low offers, like offensive offers?
Nothing's offensive because it works for us.
Right.
So something that's delivered professionally,
Right.
that has a reason behind it, should not be taken offensively. Obviously, sometimes it is, but no, they're usually not 50% of their list price. They're not just egregiously low.
You'd also be surprised how many listing agents will tell you to go kick rocks and get extremely offended by your first offer and then call you back because you followed up and you were professional
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks later. You know, it's very surprising the type of phone calls you get.
Yeah.
So don't take a rejection, you know, for what it's worth. Follow up because we get a lot of deals that way.
Yeah.
We had Caleb Pierce on the show last week. He's in the Carolina market, and he was at one point, I think like the number one Remax agent in all of like North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And the things we're kind of talking about, maybe inappropriate to say, joking about, is like stop targeting motivated homeowners and start targeting motivated realtors.
Yep.
Because realtors are struggling right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of why we constantly do like these events and stuff where you're struggling doing your traditional business. Well, open your mind to working with investors.
Right. And one thing they have to comprehend, which realtors have a hard time comprehending, is we work together to get deals done.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get mad at me. If you could see where I'm coming from and get on the same page as me, we might be able to make something happen here together.
Yeah. On your deals that you guys are submitting, are you guys offering for the realtor to double end it, or are you guys like?
We're not
Very
on our
rare.
deals.
No, very, very rare do we. It's only on where that side is just insistent on that happening. So, okay, we'll get a deal done. But no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just how our team works.
Yeah.
I think that if you're a newer investor you don't quite have the acquisitions agent that we have, that's a great option to go get a bunch of deals.
True.
You know, as long as the numbers still jive with them representing both sides, do the deal. That's an awesome way to do it and get agents on your side.
Anthony Russell on YouTube wants to know, how are you guys financing your deals?
So it's a mixture. We have a handful of hard money lenders. We have some private money lenders. We have some private lenders that work like hard money lenders. So total mix.
Yeah, and I think that just goes into always be raising capital.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather have more than we need and let it sit there on a credit than find a deal and not be able to have enough money to fund that deal that day. So always be raising money.
And then a follow-up question from Anthony is, how many team members do you have, and what are their duties?
Oh, we were just
small.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're a small team.
It's a lean operation. So
Lean and mean.
Landon and myself. We have a full-time salaried employee who is our office controller, admin. That was our first hire. Kind of our secretaries too.
Yeah. She started in like escrow paperwork
Yeah.
because that was the first thing that we're like, okay, we don't need to do this. Let's hire out. So escrow was first.
She does everything now.
And
though.
then now she developed into like controls our worlds.
So that's 3 people. And then we have a full-time project manager who's our eyes and ears in the field, visiting properties, making sure things happen, taking that role off of our shoulders. acquisitions team, so a full-time acquisitions manager who's the primary leader of all that. That's pretty much the team.
And a listing agent.
Listing agent, yeah, in charge of the brokerage, educating the agents, taking on the listings, actually taking that off our plate too. So, but what is that? 6 people?
So on the listing agent, what are you paying the listing agent?
So it's per
On
deal.
your flips.
Yeah.
So she runs the brokerage, so she gets paid per agent deal in the brokerage,
Piece of
and
that.
she lists all of our flips to enhance her personal brand and her marketing and her just power behind the brand.
Sure.
And we pay her $1,500 a listing.
I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you do 50, 75 flips plus all the agents, do a couple hundred transactions, you get a piece of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty good living.
It adds up quick.
So I had a subtle debate this morning with someone else about what to pay a realtor on a referral on a motivated seller. So you guys, I guess you guys aren't really going direct to seller.
No, not a whole lot.
We're not.
We get brought deals from wholesalers. So this is the situation: is an agent brought you directly to the seller who's ready to go, and they're looking for a referral fee of some kind.
Well, it was really more like if you guys were doing direct to seller marketing, and then this clearly is not a wholesale deal or a flip deal. This is really more of a traditional listing.
Oh, okay.
What are you guys doing with that? But you guys aren't really doing direct to seller.
No, not really at all.
So we were doing direct to seller, trying it out. And
In the past, we
a
have.
lot of them were turning into just traditional listings,
Right.
which is great for the brokerage. But we listed them in house we were charging the seller 3% listing fees to list them in house, and our listing agent got paid 30% of them.
Something like that.
Yeah. And that's in line with what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But he was paying more, and I was like, dude, you're overpaying your realtor.
And for our acquisitions agent, the guy who finds all of our deals for us, we split commissions 50-50 with him. So
Yeah.
when we close a deal, if it's 3%, he gets 1.5%, and then he credits 1.5% towards our closing costs.
Yeah. Cool.
I love how he's so nonchalant about that. People are usually like, "What? You're taking half? Why does he want to work with you if you're taking half?"
Volume.
Exactly.
Volume. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get it.
Well, I've been on this, I've been on both sides, right? Because I've been the realtor.
Yeah.
I've ran the realtor team. I ran the brokerage. And I was that guy that was submitting all those crappy offers every single day.
Yeah.
Right? Like one of my first, roles or gigs, I went to the REIA. I was super excited. I got this investor, right? And he wants to buy a lot of properties. This is so exciting.
I get to work for him now.
I get to work from now,
Yeah.
right? And I was writing, 60 offers a day and just getting rejection. It's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think I did more than 3 or 4 weeks of that. It's like, okay, this is clearly not a good use of my time. I'm gonna go back to prospecting. But yeah, so I've sat in every single one of those seats. But yeah, like I said, running a team, if I spent the money marketing, right, I got the VAs to cold call all the expired listings, and then you went to the appointment to go secure the listing, and you bring it back to the team, and you're done, right? Oh, I take that back. You have to negotiate the offers,
Okay.
but the administrative team takes care of TC, escrow, and everything else. 30% was just the norm.
That's what we paid ours was 30%.
Yeah, and this opportunity is falling into your lap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I had a subtle debate this morning with someone else. They were like
That said it's not
50-50.
enough.
They said 50-50. I was like,
Too much.
yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Especially with how much we spend on marketing.
All right.
So operating your business in a luxury space, what is your total gross profit margin to operate your business? This is Lotto on YouTube.
Ooh, interesting. Gross profit margin to operate our business. I don't know if I've
So gross profit, right?
thought about how to quantify this.
So you take the revenue and you get rid of all the after the cost of the property and the commissions, right? What kind of margins are you looking at after paying commissions?
So we have a margin for our desired investment, what's a green light for us. But I'd say that's in relation to also making lots of profits. So just running the business, that's obviously a lot smaller margin. But we're seeking 10 to 12% cash on cash returns on every single project.
Okay, so
Now-
on a property, 10 to 12%.
Yes.
So you take all that profit. Do you know after paying, and because you have a pretty small team, so your overhead doesn't sound like it's,
It's
very high,
very small.
It's
It's
and you
super
don't
low.
really have marketing.
no
None.
marketing.
It's just social media.
Right.
Yeah.
We pay our project manager $3,500 per property to manage it.
As an
Yeah.
expense to the deal.
We pay the listing
Which already
agent
comes out of the 10 to 12%.
Comes out of there.
$1,500. So we have a $5,000 overhead on each deal, pretty much is what it is.
So I mean, it sounds like it's pretty close to near 100%.
Right.
It's
right.
yeah, I'd say it's 90%.
When
And
you
that's
remove
actually-
all the marketing that like someone like yourself does, you'd be so surprised at just how low you could get your costs.
Well, so we were talking about, right? You and I, the three of us, had a conversation about potentially working with me as a mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was the exact conversation we had. I was like, "Why are you talking to me?"
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You
And
guys-
that's
that was a specific question. And then I think from there, we're like, you know what? He's right.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
like,
Just
you
keep
want to
doing what
go
we're
spend a bunch of money? Why?
yeah. So I'm just sharing that, right? Because the people that are watching, like, Steve's might be this greedy guru trying to close everyone.
Steve's a real one for that. I'm gonna give him that.
I honestly think if we took that phone call, and that's what I was just bringing up a couple minutes ago, like we were going to join, and you told us, like, wait, you spend no money with what you're doing
Yeah.
and make millions doing it.
Yeah.
Why are you calling me?
Yeah.
But that's exactly the thing is like, we didn't decide to start that way. Well, one, we knew the MLS only because I was a realtor for 2 years, and that's
Yeah.
the only thing we knew. We didn't know any other way to get deals. But we also didn't have a lot of money when we started. We weren't given money to start. We started from scratch. So for those people who don't have a lot of money to spend on direct to seller and compete against the big dogs like you,
Yeah.
MLS is a great way to do it. It's, our P&L, I think we're at like 85% profit margin.
Yeah.
Like that. Like we run such a lean business.
Yeah.
And that
It's
makes
so
total
lean.
sense to me. So, like, you got you guys, right? We had Caleb Pearson last week with Zoom Offers Now, right? That's his thing. He makes offers off the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
I got Ryan Zolan, who was
Yep.
here just a couple months ago. Same thing, right? Like, it's a super profitable model. May not be easy, but it's a super profitable model
Yeah.
because you don't have a lot of marketing expense per se. You just have a lot of sweat equity.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and it's not labor intensive. Like to run a direct to seller marketing company, you
That's-
need humans too.
Yeah.
We don't need very many. We have one guy submitting 20 to 25 offers 5 to 6 days a week.
Mhm.
Out of the 300-400 a month he's submitting, we're buying 8 to 10 of those.
Yep.
And that's wholesaling a couple of them, buying a couple of them. That's our 70, 75 deals a year. And
Yeah.
that's just what it breaks down to.
With that amount of even lower, but with a decent amount of volume, you're also able to structure it where the core people, the 5, 6 that we mentioned, only 1 or 2 of those is on salary. Everybody else is an expense to every deal. So
Yeah.
that's not really overhead to us.
Acquisitions gets paid commission at closing, doesn't cost us $1.
Project management,
Project
listing
management
agent.
gets paid profits at the end of the deal. Listing agent gets paid at closing out of profits.
Yeah.
The only person we really have on salary is our controller.
Yep. So, follow-up question from Alado is: what mistake do you commonly see made from those trying to do what you're doing in a luxury space?
Not knowing the numbers on the GC side, I think that project management and construction is heavily underestimated in terms of these luxury deals and what it takes. And things add up quick. Like we said, I mean, even us on this big deal, like we had enough of a buffer,
I only
but
want 300K over budget.
we're 300K over, and we're experts at these.
33% over.
This is what we do, and we're 300K over. I mean, that's just an anomaly of a deal because it's total design build. But, not having utilities in there on a luxury deal where they're a couple $1,000s a month, and 7 months in, it's $20,000-$30,000 in utilities added up, insurances, those costs that people forget to hold.
Mm-hmm.
For us in Vegas, HOAs add up very fast.
Yeah.
So it's really just
Especially when you
having
have a
your-
double gate.
Right. And
Oh,
double
yeah.
gate. It's having those numbers dialed in and the construction as tight as possible.
The construction's
That's huge.
number one. I think a big thing I see is they try to apply what they evaluate a property with to a larger property. So they just multiply what they do by more square footage.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't understand that everything from your countertops to your door handles are going to cost more. Everything is going to cost more. And
Yeah.
there's more of it.
Yeah.
So that's just so easy to overlook.
Yeah, that's one of the things that has always frightened me, right? Like, I already don't have a great eye for flipping. It is what it is. I just don't have an eye for it.
Accepted it.
Going to luxury scares the crap out of me, right? Because every detail matters.
Totally.
And, like, you see some of these, like, really bad flippers on a lower end home. Like, they'll spend money here, spend money there, and they'll skimp on maybe, like, the master bathroom, right?
Yeah.
And, like, you completely shot yourself in the foot.
Mhm.
It's only a handful of details on luxury that you can just skimp out on, and it crushes the whole deal.
I'd say those are actually where you really stand out Yeah, they can crush the whole deal. They can make or break the deal.
Yeah.
And if you do pay attention to those, if you're good at those, then you start. I try to always think of my experience as a buyer walking through this flip for the first time.
Mhm.
How many times, how many corners am I going to turn, and how many times am I going to say to myself, "Oh, look at that!
Mhm.
Oh, what did they? Oh, look what they did there." The
Yeah.
more I can get someone to say that, I guarantee they're saying it more in my house than they are in any other house that they've walked through.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just one of those things that you have to pay attention. Like you cannot overlook this.
Construction's huge.
Another question from Lotto is, what market that you're currently not operating in would you move into if you had to?
Oh yeah, we
want to go to Florida so bad.
We've wanted to expand a lot. I mean, now that they just went through a hurricane, it kind of
Yeah.
feels a little
Yeah.
sketchy. But yeah, I love Florida. Our parents have loved going to Florida forever.
Going there our whole lives. So Florida would be great. Scottsdale, I think, is an incredible market to
Yeah,
to
which
be
we
in.
started.
No matter what happens with it, I think
Yeah.
Scottsdale is just such a great market.
I mean, they're one of the strongest cities, right, during this downturn. Like, they're doing totally fine.
Scottsdale,
hmm
good, love it.
Yeah.
Love being here.
Yeah, I'd say South Florida would probably be number one on our list. Texas has always been pretty strong, so I like that.
Another one that's kind of low key for us that we don't talk about a lot, but I think would be phenomenal. I think they're hurting a little bit right now, but Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Salt
Utah,
Lake
sure.
in
Yeah.
Utah, I think is just explosive all around with their communities. So St. George, I know, has blown up quite a bit,
Oh yeah,
but Salt Lake would be great too.
and that seems easy too. It's like a 2-hour drive for us.
Yeah, Salt Lake is it's kind of like us,
Mhm.
kind of like Boise. Like, just like we all kind of, and Vegas, right? Like, you look at, between
the old
Phoenix,
triangle
Vegas,
still there.
Salt Lake, and then Boise. It's just
Yeah, that longitude, something
It's just-
similarities.
we all experience this volatility together. Other question is, if you couldn't use MLS, then what marketing channel would you use?
These are great questions, guys. Also,
they are
so
good
thank
questions.
you all for doing this.
If we couldn't use MLS, what marketing channels would we use? We would jump into a program as fast as possible and educate ourselves on direct to seller. Hiring VAs. We know how to get real estate transactions done. We know how to have those conversations. So if I were to hire, a couple of VAs and get a couple of salesmen in the office, I'm very confident that we are fully capable of building a direct to seller team.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go VA route, cold call route, and just hit the numbers game, because I think real estate revolves around a numbers game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We've dialed back marketing. We got punched in the gut pretty hard, right, in the summer. And so we've gone back to cold calling, and thank goodness, like, that is working for us. That's a very
tried and
low
true.
cost
Yeah.
marketing channel.
We've seen a ton of people within like our networks who saw Ryan doing TV out in Vegas, and they all went and filmed a bunch of TV
That's
commercials,
true.
and they're no longer doing TV commercials. And then they, so they're trying all these, new age things where it's like, I would cold call. I would
Yeah.
hire cold callers and focus on talking to as many people on a daily basis as possible.
Yep. And we are working on something where maybe we'll be training some other people's cold callers. So
Awesome.
see where that goes. On Facebook at D McCall, emailing to the seller's agent. Can you share some highlights of that email? Like, what are those things you're highlighting?
Yeah, sure.
in the
Okay,
email?
so with our offer, right? This is what we're accompanying our offer. So two of the biggest things I can say, don't overlook them. I know it's simple, but don't text, call, send an email, text body of your offer. Send a full executed offer, an actual RPA with a proof of funds. On top of that, inside the email body, it's written to give a brief. This isn't a novel. This is not expecting them to read. This is crazy. So a small paragraph about who we are, what we do, little Vegas history, a little bit about us, and then the offer is summarized in the middle of that template. So the important things that an agent or a seller is going to scroll through the 10, 12 pages to find are right there. So your due diligence time, your COE, the offer price, the EMD amount, some of those things that they're going to look for, again, convenient right there. I think people have had a good response to that. I like receiving these. I've heard that before. You guys obviously present yourselves really well. Heard that a lot. I think those things go a long way.
And at the end of it, I think, which we mentioned before, we asked for,
Yeah.
hey, if this one doesn't work, we completely understand. If you have any other deals, send them our way. Thanks.
Have you guys considered including a list of properties you guys have purchased in your offer?
That's a good, like a track record sort of thing.
We kind of say the number, like we've flipped, you know,
Yeah.
300 plus properties here in Vegas is in that little bio paragraph. But
I think a good thing to do would either to make like a landing page or a quick thing to check out some of our projects and
a good idea.
actually see because visually they're better than telling.
Right.
I can show you a picture that's way better than I could ever tell you about it. So
what we've done in the past is we would include an MLS printout, right? So with our Flex MLS, we can show you like just a search of all the properties we bought.
okay,
And we just include that because then it's like a row and there's like, okay, that's a credible source because I'm a
sure,
realtor.
sure.
So,
From the
yeah,
MLS,
we could do that on ours as well. Pull all
Yeah.
of our recent buys.
and then another question is, do you have any thoughts to share on common characteristics or traits you see from sellers willing to sell to an investor? So I guess I don't, because you guys don't really deal with the sellers.
We don't.
indirectly.
You know, when we talk about the MLS, we explain that like this is, you know, direct to seller marketing, you're just trying to find a motivated seller, some motivation, and then you dive in deeper. For someone to list their home on the MLS, they're a motivated seller. They've raised their hand. They said, I want to sell. They've signed contracts with an agent. They allowed a photographer to come into their home, take photos, and put it on the market. Pretty motivated person. So the motivation's there. You never know. We tell students in our program this all the time. You can't let the agent get it in the way of the seller's motivation either. You never know what a seller's motivation is going to be. So our acquisitions manager asks some questions. What's most important to them? Sometimes a 5-day cash close scares the crap out of a 75-year-old
They don't
woman
want
who's
that.
on her own
Yeah.
and needs 60 days to sell. So asking those questions is super important because with us as investors, that's another way to get a deal done. It's not always price. It could be like, oh, your client needs 60 days to move out. We could close next week and give her free rent. We could close in 60 days. We can pay for moving. We could do anything just like you do in direct to seller to make this deal work. It's asking those right questions. One reason that we always, just to backtrack a little bit, always submit formal offers executed as well, because you know as well as I do, as an agent, you have to present all offers. If I text you as a listing agent, hey, do you think your seller will take $750? I'm deleting that text. But if I email you an executed offer and you as an agent goes, nope, they don't want to take it. Okay, can you send me the executed rejection, please? Because it
You're one of those
shows
guys.
proof.
Hate you guys.
You have to.
I
Even
know.
when they sit
I
down
know.
and let's say they
I'm not
have
disagreeing
5
with you.
offers.
Just hate you guys.
I know. The listing
You're
agent
allowed
is
to.
more scared to present that offer than the seller. You don't know what the seller is going to do. But
Yeah.
this person in the middle might be just petrified of sitting with that person and showing them an offer.
I would say another element that's really, really important not to overlook. It's nothing that's written. It's the behavior. It's how often that listing agent's going to hear from us. Just to check in. Even sharing some market something that they might not know about. Hey, I saw another one was listed down the street from you. Is that affecting you? Is that good for you? Whatever. Just those points of contact over maybe a few months. When they sit down, they have 4 offers to look at. Here's this guy. He texted me $350, and I finally got him to send me an offer. It's half written. Here's one. Yeah, it's low, but who's it from? I don't really know. Here's this one. I've talked to these guys 17 times in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I know everything. Here's a bio about them.
Right.
You immediately stand out. So that presenting, it goes a long way.
Well, the other thing you said too, you know, is making sure the realtor doesn't get in the way.
Yeah.
And you probably have some nightmare stories about this.
Of course. You know, you they cuss you out. They tell you no, they don't. You know, there's no way in hell my seller's going to take this deal. I don't even know where you come up with these numbers.
I'll make sure you never
investors.
buy a home in this neighborhood ever again.
Right. You know, they just
Tomorrow we close on another one.
and it's not because of the offer. It's because they're scared to present it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, you asking the right questions and, you know, as stickler as it is to say, hey, my broker, and, you know, I tell my acquisitions agent all the time, put it on me. Hey, my broker requires a signed rejection for our file. You know, we have to show that you presented all offers.
Yeah,
My broker
Sorry, I'm doing the
requires
right
it.
thing.
You know, and you never know what a seller will do. You honestly don't.
Yep.
We're hated.
We're hated. Steve hates us.
I just hate that part. Because
Yeah.
every time someone's like, you know, show me
It's
the
annoying.
sign rejection, like, no.
Right.
No, I'm not showing you the sign rejection. But it's not because I don't present it. Is that if I had to submit 16
It's annoying.
rejections, It's a pain in my
It
butt.
is annoying.
And every time someone's like, my broker requires, like, I don't care. That was typically
Have
my
him call
response. Another question is, what kind of confidence level do you have that your MLS buy model is going to be transferable to other markets, particularly in lower price point areas, say under 300,000?
So what I like, and one of the reasons I'll give as an example is the one of the reasons we love Florida is because it's not exactly the same properties. Like if you were to take Vegas and Phoenix, they're really, really similar. The construction styles, the age of the properties, the mix of you have HOAs, you have non-HOAs, all that just feels very similar. When you go out to Florida, it might not look like that at first, but it's actually a good mix of that also. It's just a totally different layout. But you have low price point communities that are in non-HOA, and like those areas are very homogenous. Like half of Vegas is just like that. But then 10, 20 minutes away, you have golf course, you have gated country club, you have like nice stuff. And so I really see that I think we're going to have good success in markets that have the same like asset mix that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
And I think when you have really desirable areas that attract a certain type of buyer mixed in with those other ones, there's just creates the right opportunity for us.
And Dee was asking, was there a cost, or what is the cost for the boot camp?
Oh, so the boot camp, which I would love if we could, send a link and there's a ton of information on our landing page, our site. You can even set up a free call with us or the team to find out more. Ton of information, probably answer all your questions there. But the boot camp is $5,000 per membership, and we're doing different discounted rates and things for people if they do want to sign up. So definitely reach out to us.
Yeah, it's an unreasonably low cost. You're screwing it up for all the rest of us.
Yeah.
It's going to go up. I know it's going to go up.
No, yeah, it's definitely going to go up. I mean, there's so much value provided. I mean, 80-something people left today with multi-million, in funding. That's huge. So
yeah. And then from Chris Vasquez. What's up, Chris?
Hey.
What's up, Chris?
So he says, welcome to Scottsdale Flipping. And how are you seeing interest rates impact your exits on the luxury side?
My Scottsdale banger.
Yeah, so, I mean, just to break down where we've been the last 5 months, we bought, $23 million worth of properties in April and May.
Mm-hmm.
We're down to our final 6. So, we're still standing. Everything's been good. We have a couple that are sitting. So we just, liquidate those so we could recoup our capital and buy more. I think that this is a market that presents a lot of opportunity. When we talk to higher level people that have been through the cycles, and I'm sure you would say the same thing, I wish we would have known and done more business in the downturn than we did because of how much money can be made. So I think this is kind of that time where we all wait for, like, oh man, I want to have so much cash ready for the downturn.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, okay, well, here it is. Let's go.
Yeah.
So it's moving deals. They're taking a little bit longer. We're liquidating some at, just above break evens. We've had a couple break evens, just what it's going to be. But game is to get our capital back to buy more.
What I find with people that are faced with the current environment of, I'm going to have to buy a house, let's say, but I'm going to have to take whatever interest rate I can get right now, which is obviously not favorable. They're also becoming a lot pickier. So if I have to buy a house right now, I want it to be the very best house that I could possibly buy, whatever I'm approved up to, absolute dime of the bunch. And so for us, where a lot of people get tighter with their expenses because things get more expensive, they start doing less to the homes, rehabbing less, pulling that back. Big mistake. We double down. We go a little bit extra. We try to put an extra bit of rehab to really shine in the house because we know people are becoming more, like, pickier.
Yeah.
So that's helped us.
So going back to some of these other questions, what does your business look like right now versus when you guys first started?
Oh, it's night and day. I mean, the core is the same, but it's a lot more enjoyable, I think, because when it's all on you, there's just no escaping. There's always the next thing to do. As soon as you're done with that, well, there's a pile back here that you have to get to, and you don't experience the time freedom, some of the luxuries that come with owning and operating a real estate company. But as you grow, which we've done over the past few years, and you hire, you delegate, and you just generally get better at what you're doing, you start to kind of enjoy watching it all happen and seeing it in front of you.
I think it's become a little bit more challenging though, in aspects where it's like we're doing so much at one time still right now, even if it's not like, yes, not in the actual rehab of a particular property, but we're trying to do more than we've ever done. We're raising more capital than we've ever done. We're doing more
We're starting other
education
businesses.
and more businesses. So it's like, we're challenging ourselves so much every day right now to try to succeed in multiple different, facets of the business, which has been fun. I think it's enjoyable to do that and, have some shortcomings that we got to work through and fail forward with, which is kind of what we've experienced the last 5 or 6 months. It's like, man, we had a lot of our own capital in a lot of homes, got it back, thankfully, a majority of it. So it's like, okay,
Not do that again.
let's not do that again. Let's use more other people's money and raise more capital so that we could keep our own and go buy rentals or Airbnbs or whatever we want to do with it. So I think it's actually become a little bit more challenging since when we first started, but in a growth way.
Yeah, we keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's like the what's the word I'm looking for? That's like the mantra, right, of entrepreneurs. We're always moving the goalpost back. What freedom does real estate afford you guys?
So one thing I love is being able to not report to necessarily anyone. And that may seem like a small thing, and the reality of it, like, what do you mean? You could own $1 million homes, or you could obviously make millions of dollars in profits, or have time freedom. Like, those are all good things too. But I just, like I said before, what were the few things you did before you got into real estate? They just ate away at me. And it's something that I just knew wholeheartedly. I got to get out of this. I cannot have this boss that is making sure I'm in there at 9 a.m. Like, I hate it. So that's my favorite thing.
I'm with it. I think I'm in the same boat. Obviously, being able to spend, we go on vacations quite a bit with our families. So traveling quite a bit. Being able to golf on Fridays has been enjoyable this last year that we started picking up golf. So, just having the freedom of time. We work a lot though. We're not slackers by any means. I mean, you can find us in the office. Pretty much, we report to each other. So I don't necessarily agree.
And
with
it's
it
cool because
100%. Because if I'm not there, then where you at? If he's not there, where you at? So it's like.
But also with that though, it's like, oh well, I'm at this property this morning. I'm not in the. Okay, well, I've decided I kind of want to move around this week. We can do that.
Yeah.
You guys charging $5K for golf yet?
Not yet. No. All we're charging is $4. No, we should start charging though.
I'm not good enough. I've actually declined my golf game in these last 2 months, so I got to get back.
To put somebody through that, honestly, we should pay them.
Yeah. What is your guys' why?
That's great.
So I'll start. My why my entire life has been kind of where we started this conversation today, which is the scrutiny of that silver spoon, right? Because we didn't come from the gutter, so I don't have a why of like, I got to take care of my mom or anything like that. Although I would like to. We just didn't come from that type of background, so it's the challenge of overcoming those naysayers or those, the scrutiny of that silver spoon mentality from people to show them, look, no, we work hard. Like, I'm a grinder. I'm not spoiled. I wasn't given everything I have in my life. Like, I'm willing to work for it. So that's been the why up to this point. Now I'm kind of over that mentality, and I have a little boy coming in January. So a new why.
Yeah, that's definitely.
So I'm excited.
Big why.
Yeah.
We got a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
I like it.
For sure.
I think for me, one thing I've always experienced and seen, whether I recognized it or not, was something from my dad where, again, rags to riches, made his way through the world, and what that gave him, where he has such a deep level of confidence in himself and he doesn't need it from anyone else. I know that his perseverance, his accomplishments have given him that. So whether you start at zero or whether you start maybe with some good cards in your hand, being able to take that, build on it, create something, and instill that confidence in yourself, it's really the only way to get it. But once you have it, it's something that's just irreplaceable. So I've always seen that in him, admired that in him, and I figured out, okay, well, I have to go do something like that in order to get it for myself.
Yeah, that's profound. What is your biggest struggle today?
Biggest one today. Let's just pull out the list.
God.
No,
Personally or business wise?
we always have
Both.
We're always in struggle. Again, we're always moving that goalpost. So we're always from a what do we need to do to get to where we want to be mentality. I think right now, just to be frank, like we mentioned, we bought a ton of properties. We haven't been investing for decades to navigate full market cycles, whatever we're going through right now. So the biggest struggle, which we're almost out of, I'll say, has been over the summer, over the fall months of learning what happens and how quickly things can happen, being creative, hustling to get things done, reducing the risk, get it off the books, being nimble, being flexible, and learning how to do that when the time really it's necessary to do. That's been one of the big struggles through this year, I'll say.
Yeah, I agree. I think that kind of goes into like being stagnant has been a struggle. You know, feeling like, okay, can we buy? Like, yeah, we want to buy. We know we want to buy. You know, we want to buy more and get back to 25 properties at a time as soon as possible. And it's a struggle mentally, not being able to quite get there yet. Or
We
feel
want to do that
confident.
only if they make money.
Yeah.
Not feeling confident in it yet.
Yeah.
So it's you know, I'm the go personality. So stepping back, like I have come to Jesus with the fact that like, okay, if we have a 25-year career and we have 6 months where it's like up in the air, stagnancy, or, you know, shifting and adapting, so what? That's just the name of the game. Like, this is never going to be sunshine and rainbows all the way through. So
Yeah, this is something I've been talking about. I don't hear a lot of other people talking about it, so I don't know. For me, I look at it, like you say, you know, we're going to be doing this for a long time. It's really not important to make a lot of money right now. Like, for me, it's really more important to make sure we make it through this.
You stay in the game.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Like, the worst thing that can happen is game over.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't hear a lot of other people talking about it. Everyone else talking about double down, marketing, crush it, and this and that. It's like, I don't.
We want to survive another day.
right.
Yeah. I'm 43. I don't want to start over. How will you guys know when you're successful?
I think we already are. I don't think that is a point that you arrive at. It's a feeling that only really you can give yourself. So I think I learned a long time ago to just give that to yourself.
Yeah.
Look around. Like, we're living a great life. You're successful. You are.
You know, nice, great families, great people in our lives, you know, live well, successful for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know, even though we're always moving the goalpost on what we want to achieve, the feeling of success is already there.
Perspective really helps. Go travel a little bit and you'll feel successful.
Yeah.
For sure. I've learned that as well.
Yeah.
What is your superpower?
What is my superpower? Geez, I don't know. Maybe the lack of fear sometimes, and you know, perseverance in terms of like
The Maverick mentality.
the maverick, like ultra maverick mentality, where like they'll say something and be like, "Let's just do it. It's easy. Like this is gonna be easy. Like so what? Let's just do it."
I'm like,
Let's
what
just do
money
it.
are we going to do that with?
Like I am just throwing things, you know, shit against the wall the entire time, trying to get things to stick. And Jesse, with his personality, is like, "Okay, let me go try to figure out how to get it to stick." But I don't stop throwing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just what I do is constant reach out, constant just throwing things without even thinking like, oh, it's gonna be hard to do. It's like, no, it's gonna be easy. Let's do it.
Constantly stretching the bubble.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing.
Yeah. How about you?
I think I am great at understanding people, reading people, and getting people to like me and wanting to play whatever game I want to play.
Yeah.
Whether I have a positive motive or a secret negative one, I don't let that show, but I can definitely get anyone to cooperate.
Yeah. So you're in Vegas. Have you applied that in poker?
I haven't on purpose. I do have a poker lineage. My grandfather was a professional poker player. I've never had good luck with it.
Yeah.
So whenever I sit at a table with cards in my hand, I lose money. So I learned really early on to stop doing that.
Yeah, I was sharing with you guys before we went on air. It's like, I'm going to be going there next month. It's like, they're like, where do you want to stay? I was like, I don't care. I'm going to be at the poker table. It doesn't matter.
There's poker tables everywhere.
What room do you like the most, though?
Well, for me, since Aria has the best room, it's easier to stay at Aria.
Yeah, I love Aria.
Right? But for me, really, I don't
Beautiful.
care. I'll just go to wherever the game's at.
Yeah.
And you're right in the middle in Aria City Center.
Yeah.
Bellagio's there. Caesar's not far. You can get around too.
Dude, the Strip's easier to play poker on than the local casinos because you
Oh,
get
yeah.
the people that come to the local casinos and they just take down entire tables. The Strip is like newbie drunk people that just want
Yeah,
to
it's
play
great.
poker.
Yeah.
My favorite, I don't know if it's still like this. My favorite was Planet Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Right? Because they literally had the poker room right outside the club.
Yeah.
So you get all these drunk guys who are frustrated because they didn't get any action. And now they got to go to the poker table to flex. And so they're drunk and they're flexing.
Yeah.
And you just take them.
Best.
Betting irrationally.
It's the best game.
Love it.
What is the greatest lesson that you have learned?
I will say I've learned one recently. So it was introduced to me through one of the members of the Maui Mastermind that we just attended like a month or two ago. And he introduced me. It's actually a book, an audio book, but it's around a philosophy. It's called The Gap and the Gain. Amazing. So it kind of speaks to the question, like, do you consider yourself successful? Like, are you happy with what you've done? It's just a way to perceive yourself completely flipped on its head.
Yeah.
So you'll notice once you start reading it, looking into it, that everyone, and you included, are doing this way. You're looking at your success and positioning yourself in a certain way, basically all looking into the future. And so it flips that on its head and try to derive your happiness and your success from what you've already done. And once you flip that around, it's just life-changing.
Yeah. It's haven't read the book, but I got a chance to go through Strategic Coach, right, with Dan Sullivan, who's the principal.
Yeah.
Came from. So yeah, if you like that, I highly recommend
It's
going
great.
through Strategic Coach. There was lots of great entrepreneurial lessons in there, and that was one of the big lessons I learned there. And it's such a simple concept.
I know.
But once you learn it, it's like, oh, yeah, like stop chasing and stop focusing where you're short.
Yeah.
And start focusing on successes you've had.
It's not even just business.
Yeah.
What was so like revolutionary was how many aspects of your life you do this in. How many times a day you find yourself in the gap, as he'll call it.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy to me, but I love it.
Yep. How about yourself?
Biggest lesson I've learned. I'm a pretty impatient person. Just naturally with
You just
my
said
personality.
Maverick.
Yeah, just with my personality. So I don't know if this goes into the gap and the gain explanation, but yeah, being more present is just like I have to be more present because I either beat myself up because I'm not where I want to be yet. So living more present is just like my biggest goal right now, especially with the sun coming in. January, pretty hot here, pretty quick. I got to just educate myself on that a little bit more and do it more because when I think about it, I feel so much better.
What are you doing to be more present?
I'm just thinking more on a daily basis, like every morning, like in the shower, I'm sitting there for 5 minutes, like thinking about my day. I'm back in the gym a lot harder, thinking about my body and my health, trying to be the best person I could possibly be on a daily basis. Again, I let that go a little bit in recent months. And just getting back there, I think, is huge.
Yeah. For me, the greatest thing that helped me with this was there's a program by Darren Hardy's Insane Productivity, right? And it just gives you all these things that you got to do, right, to kind of set boundaries so that you can be present. Because it's hard. I'm the same way, right?
It's hard.
Not so much these days. Still happens from time to time. But in an early part of my career, my wife's like, where are you? Like, you're there, but you're clearly not here.
Yeah. Like, I mean, she'll talk to me and ask me a question 3 times, but hello. I'm like, wait, what? Like I'm thinking through like my entire day,
Right.
what just happened. And it's like, no, I gotta be here.
Yeah, intentionality plays a big part of that. You can't do that unless you set an intention to do it.
All right. So I highly recommend if you haven't checked that one out.
Yeah, I have to.
Which failure did you learn the most from?
Which failure? I think just this last couple months, which I don't consider a failure, consider it more of a lesson learned. Like you said, we put way too much of our own capital into our business, and we knew better, and it's just that shiny object syndrome where our mentality was like, okay, we know something's going to happen, but we have one last group of homes. Like it's always one more time, and you don't know when the shift
music stops.
The music stops. Like it was one more time, and boom, music stops. So Raising more capital, using more people's money, I think is the biggest failure I've learned from so far, where it's like we talk about, and I guess it's more so we talk about it, but didn't do it. It's when we know we have to do something, we need to do it. We need to execute from here on out.
Yeah, well, I made that same exact mistake, right? And because we knew
Common.
something was going to happen, but it was so freaking abrupt.
I know.
Yeah.
And then going back, do you
Things
snowboard?
were so good.
Do you snowboard or ski?
Snowboard.
Right? Like when do people get hurt?
I don't know.
Last run of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Catch that edge, yeah.
Sun's down.
One more run.
Yeah.
Right? You're
One more,
exhausted,
right.
and it's just
Yeah.
when you wipe out.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
that was a pretty big learning experience.
Yeah. And there's something I said to my wife, right? Like, fortunately, we're young enough that we will be prepared for the next cycle, right? Like, there's still time. Greatest lesson. What failure did you learn the most from?
So we learned an early lesson with, as we were bringing on people, we brought on a new contractor. And so it initially showed itself in a way of you brought on somebody you didn't vet out and they took advantage of you. And so that was just a singular version of it. But now that's compounded into every person we bring into the fold, everyone we want to work with gets vetted out in so many different ways now. I'm not so much of drinking the Kool-Aid. If you tell me you're great, like, okay, then let's work together. You're great. I'm going to check it out. I'm also going to give you a PI test. I'm also going to have like 2 or 3 interviews, see how you do with just us, with the rest of our staff, with the whole group in general. Are you willing to do the job? Are you able to do the job? I kind of ask myself all those things and check more boxes than I used to, even if it's just an assistant. So it's applied itself now, not from just the contractor, into everyone we bring into the circle.
So
Your
your
contractor stole a lot of money from us.
Just disappear.
it happens.
Yeah.
So you're a maverick, and you are
Operator.
operator. So you like people,
Yes.
right?
Even if I don't like you, you don't know that.
Yeah. And then we were talking about earlier, so you like to hire, screen a certain way. So I'm an individualist.
Okay. What does that exactly break down to?
I'm going to do whatever I think is best. Right?
Regardless of if
So,
anyone's
like-
on board or not.
Yeah, right? So you're a maverick, and so we have a lot of similarities.
Okay.
The difference is he's more extroverted, I'm more introverted,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and I'm more likely to follow a process where he's like, now let's just reinvent this every single time.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Who needs a process?
Yeah, processes.
It's going to be easy.
Who has time for processes,
Yeah.
right? So you got to clean up his mess more often than you have to clean up my mess. But I'm still going to create messes because of the high A, right?
I see.
I'm just
Okay.
going to keep going. So as an individualist, where would there be room in your organization, right? Because you're saying you're using PI.
Yeah. We've just recently started doing that. But
Just
yeah.
recently started doing
Yeah.
it. Got it.
Yeah, we find a place for you. You trying to come over there?
Well, let's see how this market
Yeah,
goes.
let's go.
What book have you gifted more than any other?
I will say I need to be better and actually give the book, but I just give the recommendation book. It's Who Not How. It's the number one.
Yeah, we read it together, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay, this
Yeah.
is like the game changer to business mindset, because we get stuck in that. Even with 2 of us, it's like, man, how do we do that? How do we do so many things at one time? How
It's
do
just
we,
the wrong question.
and that paralyzed us. It will legitimately paralyze you, thinking to yourself, how do I do everything I need to do to accomplish one goal?
Yeah.
Versus who can I utilize to help me? And I think being a part of networks and masterminds and bigger groups and collaborations has even, strengthened that mentality quite a bit. Because for us, Scottsdale, we're thinking, how do we pick up our entire operation and move it to Scottsdale to
For
flip
years.
houses?
Probably thought about that for years.
Right,
Yeah.
for like a year or 2. And it's like, we want to go here, but man, we got to go open up brokerage and find contractors. Versus, who can we find in Scottsdale that's a solid operator that already knows what they're doing, that we could add value to?
Mhm.
And that's what we did. And as soon as we found that person, flipped a house, made money on it, easy deal.
Yep. And again, I go back to, if you like that book and you like Gaffing the Gain, highly recommend Strategic Coach.
Yeah.
How about yourself? Which book have you gifted more than any other?
Yeah, Who Not How is the one we talk about just together the most. Outside of that, Traction's pretty good. That's, for me, I needed to read something like that, obviously, because it's not the way my mind operates. So if you're like me and a maverick and, your mind's all over the place and you're not a systems and processes type of person within your own business, traction could kind of bring you back down to earth with it.
Yep. So I'm going to make a few quick announcements. So think about the message you want to leave all the listeners with.
Okay.
Guys, if you got value today, please like, subscribe, share, comment. Help us help more people. I think there were some incredibly valuable gems dropped throughout today's episode. So help me help more people. And then we do have our event coming up this Friday and Saturday, right? Ren and I, Ren's actually in the next room over here. He's done 100+ wholesale deals in a month, right? We're going to be talking about how to grow your organization through sales leadership. So do check that out. Go to disruptors.com/sales leadership. And we have Pardon the Disruption tomorrow. Don't forget to check that out. What are some last thoughts you want to leave the listeners with?
One thing, this stems right from the boot camp, right from what we're in the middle of coaching and educating others on right now, is you think you have to do it all on your own. You don't. You think you need to have a bunch of money to get started. You don't. You think you need to have all the skills and the knowledge to get started, and you don't. You don't have to have everything you think you have to actually get started. What you do have to have is somebody who will educate you on exactly that.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, you don't need to get licensed.
Yeah.
You don't need to get licensed.
But I suggest it.
We teach that. Stemming off that and kind of piggybacking off that, you have to have the motivation, which if you're listening to this podcast today, you already have a little bit of that motivation. You have that interest to move things forward. You have to execute on the next step. Set a goal and execute that goal. Don't paralyze yourself, overanalyzing, this whole business and what you need to get started. Seriously, just get started.
Yeah, and that's key. Absolutely key. If someone wants to find out more about the bootcamp again, where do they go?
Yes. So I think the link's going to be posted, but you can go to futureflipper.com/bootcamp. That's our landing page. Ton of information on there. You can learn more about what it is, when it is, everything to do with the bootcamp. You can also find out a lot about us, what we teach, what we cover on all of our social media handles. It's all the Boeckle brothers. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Those are our big three.
Boeckle Cousins doesn't quite.
It doesn't have a ring to it.
It doesn't have the ring.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks
Thank you
for coming on.
It was great.
Appreciate it.
Thank
That's
you.
fun.
See you guys all next week.
Shout out to Steve Trang. Jump on the Steve Trang. We real estate disruptors.